Alright, welcome back to another bolt action battle report on Miniature Game Montage. Today we've got a 500-point matchup between the United States and Germany, mostly infantry forces this time. We have not played bolt action in some time, so definitely looking forward to getting back in the rhythm of playing it again. We're going to be playing with some of these modular pre-painted buildings from Micro Art Studio. I think they go really well with the terrain that we've set up today, and I'm going to put a link for them down in the description below. Be sure to check them out after you watch the video. They have a full bolt action line, and I believe that they are currently working on a 15mm version as well. Now on to the list, and we're operating pretty basic today as the US forces have a second lieutenant with an attendant. They will have 3 squads of veteran paratroopers, and these have 6 with rifles, NCO with a submachine gun, and a BAR. That's for Squad 1 and 2. Squad 3 will be 4 with a rifle, an NCO with a submachine gun, and a BAR. They will also have a medium machine gun team and 1 light mortar team, 500 points in total with 6 order dice. The Germans will also have a second lieutenant with an attendant. They will have 3 infantry squads, here veterans. The NCO will have a submachine gun, and 1 infantry will have an LMG. They will bring in a sniper team as well, total of 496 points and 5 order dice. Now the mission we're playing today is top secret, and inside of the building that I'm showing now are some documents that both sides are trying to get their hands on. No forces will be deployed at the start of the game, and all of our forces will be coming in from reserve. Both sides will be trying to get the intel inside of this building and make it off the board. We did roll up, and the Germans won to pick the table side, and they will go with the side that has a little more hard cover than the other. This should be an interesting game, as both sides will be using the buildings for cover, trying to get inside and get that intel and make it off the board edge. Turn 1's coming up next. Really hope you enjoy, and if you like this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up. And with the Germans pulling the first die out of the bag, they need to see a 9 or less to come onto the board, and that is successful. They issue a run order. The next die also belongs to the Germans, another infantry squad making their way onto the board, again 9 or lower, which is good. The German second lieutenant also makes his way onto the battlefield, and we are not treating these as ruins per se, just kind of open field there with a house around. The Americans finally pull their first order die, and they are moving a paratrooper squad onto the board. They will come to rest up against these hedges. Germans pull another die out of the bag, and another infantry team, this time on their right flank, making their way onto the board with a 9 or less. The Americans pull another die, pass an order test, and they will move some additional infantry onto the board. This infantry squad is going to take some cover behind the garage. More Americans attempting to come onto the board. They will pass their test here, and they will come up alongside the right flank. Another die is pulled for the Americans, and this time the second lieutenant is also making his way onto the board with a run order. US pulls another die from the bag, and this time the light mortar team will come onto the board, and they'll be taking up some cover behind the sand bunkers here. Americans continue to pull dice, and this time we do have a failed test here, as that was the medium machine gun team. They're unable to come onto the board, so they will be issued a down order. And back over for the Germans, we do have the sniper team moving onto the board. They issue an advance here, and I believe this is an illegal shot. Since he was not issued a fire or ambush order, I don't believe he is able to use the scope, and he takes this shot illegally. He rolls out 1 die, and he is going to get a 6, which we counted as a hit. And then he would need 5s in order to cause damage, as these are veterans. He is not going to get it, but they will get a pin. And that brings turn 1 to a close. Both forces now onto the board in full, except for the US forces that are missing a medium machine gun team. No casualties taken in the first turn. The Americans did receive a pin marker from the sniper, which I believe was a shot that we should not have allowed. Turn 2 is coming up next. Turn 2 underway, and the Americans pull the first order die, and they take an order test, and that is going to be failed, so they will go down. And technically that should have been a pass test, as I believe that pin was illegal, but we continue to move on. Next up we have the Americans that pull another order die. I also catch a mistake here. And I believe technically in order to enter a building, you have to issue a run order. So this is something else that I believe we got wrong as well. But issued, we played it as an advance. They had plenty of movement to get into this building, and with the doors open, they decide to fire at the upcoming German infantry. 4 rifles take shots at range and hard cover behind this wall, and they do sink 2 6s. The BAR then fires short range, so needing 5s also gets a 6. And then we want to see 5s in order to cause damage here, as they are veterans, and there will be 1 casualty, and they will take a pen. We do swing back over to the Germans with a pull and order die, and they're going to attempt to roll this pen off, and they will successfully do so. They're going to issue a run order, and we do correct this later on. The run, they were not able to all get into the building, so we did place 2 here. They should all be outside the building, and we'll correct that later on. The Germans pull another order die, and the sniper this time will take aim with his scope, and he's going to let loose with 1 shot at one of the paratroopers he can see. He's going to hit on 3s, and he does hit, and he would need 5s in order to cause damage, and he will successfully get that and takes one of them down, and they now have 2 pins. With another order die, the Germans are going to execute a run maneuver, getting up behind heavy cover here, behind the stone wall. And once again, the Germans pull a die, and we will correct this later on in the game. They issue a run order, but all of these guys can't get into the building, therefore they are technically still outside of it. The Germans have got up to the building where the intel is located. The American paratroopers pull another die, and they are issued an advance order, now popping over this hedge, and they're going to attempt to bring their BAR and some rifles into range of some of the approaching Germans behind the stone wall. And there will be 3 rifles that can get line of sight to these guys, and they will fire. They will need 6s due to range and heavy cover. Not going to get anything there. The BAR is going to fire as well. He is short range, so he needs 5s, and he misses with both of his shots. The Americans pull another die, and the mortar team are going to fire, and they will need a 6 here. This is HE 1 inch, and that shot is going to miss. The Americans pull another die and attempt to bring that medium machine gun onto the board. They are successful, issuing a run order, and he is able to get inside of the house. The Germans then activate, issuing a run order to their 2nd lieutenant. U.S. forces pull a die, activate their 2nd lieutenant, and he runs over, trying to give his morale bubble to this infantry squad that is taking some pens. With turn 2 over, we did see a casualty on both sides. The Germans have made their way up to the center of the board to the building housing the intel, the Americans trying to sweep around and stop them. Turn 3 coming up next. Now at the start of turn 3, we do go back and correct this action here, where not all of the German units were able to make it inside of the building, so we did promptly back these guys back out, and we also did that for the other infantry unit that was waiting to enter the other building as well. And the reason it all matters is because the Americans will pull the first order die, roll off one of the pens, and they are going to issue an advance order. And they are initially going to move to here, but then we decide to move them up to the hedge to keep them in some cover. With the advance, they are going to take aim at the Germans that are outside of the building, and they are going to elect to go down. There will be 4 rifle shots. The first 2 are short range, so they will need 5s due to that unit going down, and they are going to miss. There are 2 more rifles at long range that will need 6s, and both of them are going to miss as well. The Americans pull another die, and the next paratrooper unit is going to advance up the street, and they are going to attempt to soften up some of these advancing Germans, but they are on the other side of a stone wall. We do have a BAR in this group. They are normally hitting on 3s, and full cover is going to make this 5s. They are not going to go down. We do have 6 rifles that are shooting, looking for 5s, and they will get 2 hits. We go ahead and roll for damage on these, looking for 5s, and they will get 1, and is it exceptional? No, it's not. The BAR is also going to fire 2 shots, and once again, needing 5s as they are in heavy cover. And he does get one, looking for 5s again. He does not get it. They do have an SMG in that group as well. He will rattle off some shots. And he will get 1 hit, and that is going to convert into a kill, rolling up for exceptional, and it's not. That unit is going to activate and return fire immediately. First off, they need to take an order test to see if they can roll off that pin marker, and that is going to be successful. Looking for a 9 or less. They're going to play an advance order here so they can get more of their troops up against the wall to fire. And we roll the dice first, but consider this hitting on 4s as they did move. It is short range, and they are not getting cover. We do take a quick moment to align that machine gun, which just fired up against the wall here so he can see. And with 4 hits on the board, they are going to receive a pin marker, and we're going to be looking at 5s to do damage as they are veterans. And there will be 1. We are going to roll up to see if we get to choose which one it is, and they do, so they will take out the BAR. Next up, we do have a few rifles that are shooting. There will be 3 of them, as one of them is acting as a loader for the machine gun. He gets a hit, and that does not cause a wound. The NCO also has a submachine gun, so he is going to take 2 shots as well. And he is going to land a hit there, getting a 6, rolling up, needing a 5, and he gets it. So the paratroopers lose 2 men as well. And then back to the Germans, we're going to get what should be a run order here, I believe, to now enter this building. So these guys are issued that run order, and they are piling in. U.S. forces pull another die, and the medium machine gun team will need to issue another run, so the team can get up to the window here looking to fire. U.S. forces with another die, and the mortar team is going to issue a run order as they skirt around some of the crop fields here. The Germans have the next order, and the sniper team once again going to activate and fire down at the unit that they've put a few pins on already. And he hits on a 3 again, looking for a 5. He doesn't get it, but he does apply another pin. The U.S. forces then get an order die out of the bag, and they are going to activate the infantry squad here, issuing an advance order. They're going to attempt to lay down some fire against the Germans there that are waiting to go inside of the building, but they are down. As a quick note, while this looks cool, they're actually not in formation, as they are not within 1 inch of each other, so this would be considered illegal. We will see 2 shots from the BAR hitting on 5s. It is short range, and both of those are going to miss. That unit of Germans is down. The rest of these shots are going to be rifles, and looking for 6s here, and all of them miss. The Americans pull another order out of the bag, and they are going to move the 2nd Lieutenant forward with an advance order. The Germans are just going to send their 2nd Lieutenant down, giving them that morale bubble. And that wraps up turn 3, starting to see some casualties on both sides. A lot of pin markers starting to fly on both sides as well. German forces have occupied a building at the center of the board, with the Americans preparing to enter. We've got turn 4 coming up next. And with turn 4 underway, the Germans pull the first die, and they're going to issue a run order as they get into the building, housing the intel. And if they can stay here, they will be able to pick this up. And with the next order die, the U.S. forces play a snap 2, first activating the infantry. They do have to roll off a pin, which is successful, getting that morale bonus. They've issued a run order, and all of the men get within 1 inch of an opening of the building and prepare to assault. This will be considered the same as fighting over an obstacle, so both forces will fight at the same time. The Americans will get 6 swings in total, with the tough fighter being the blue die, and they'll get 3 hits here, so they just need 5s to take these guys out, but they will all get to swing back, as technically they're fighting at the same time. We do roll up 1 for an exceptional, and it is not, so just 3 wounds going across onto the Germans. The Germans will swing back with 7 swings of their own. They do have 1 tough fighter there, which also connects. And the Germans are showing 4 casualties on the board, and they do get to roll out again. 1 die for tough fighter, and this would make it 5 casualties. The German infantry are going to win the combat, and they will take this U.S. infantry squad off the board. And with men taken down like that, it did change the tactics up here a bit. The second lieutenant plays in advance and they go back into cover, giving a morale bubble to the other squad on the right. Now, with the U.S. being out of formation here, we did go back and correct that. I did mention that earlier, but they do pull the next order die. We're going to activate this squad. We quickly pull them back into formation, and they are going to play in advance order. German forces are holed up in the building next to them, and not wanting to risk another assault like that, they quickly go into the courtyard. The Germans pull a die, the sniper is going to activate, and he is again going to target that same infantry squad he's been shooting at the whole game. Once again, needing a 3, peering down the scope, he gets a hit, and then he needs 5s to cause damage, and that is not successful, but they will take a pen. The Germans pull another die, and moving through the opening in the wall here, they do execute a run maneuver as they take up positions, getting ready to defend the intel when it leaves the building. The Americans activate next, and they will play a run order as this light mortar team is getting down to the edge of the crop fields here where they can see. Another order die is pulled for the Americans. This time the medium machine gun team will get a fire order. They will fire out of the window going into the building that has the intel. So force for range, it will need 6s as they are in hard cover and they all miss. The Germans pull the next order die, they issue an advance, and they come out of the back door of the building looking to take shots at the Americans out in the courtyard. They will be granted heavy cover here, and the machine gun is going to open up first. Normal hit on 3 moves 4. It will need 6s, and he will get one of those. 5s required to take one of them down. That is not successful. We've then got rifles that have line of sight that are going to open fire. They will also need 6s due to cover and moving. They will get 1. And again, needing a 5 in order to score damage. That is not successful. The SMG fires next with 2 shots. He is in short range, so just needs 5s, not getting that penalty to movement. Both shots miss. The second lieutenant activates next. They will issue a run order, and he moves into cover behind the hedge. U.S. forces activate their infantry unit on the right flank, looking to pass an order test. That will be successful. They are getting that morale bubble from their second lieutenant there, and they're going to issue a run order. The run order is enough to bring them within an inch of an opening to the building, and they are going to launch an assault into the Germans. U.S. forces trying to make this interesting, as if they can take these guys down, a lot of the Germans have pulled off the objective to protect them on their way back. Once again, this combat is considered as fighting over an obstacle, so both sides will be fighting at the same time. The Americans have 5 swings in total, with 1 being a tough fighter, and they need 5s in order to cause a casualty. They get 1. We're going to see if it's exceptional to take out the German tough fighter, and they do not, so only 1 wound caused. The Germans will get 4 swings, and they will get 1 as well. And theirs is going to be exceptional, so they will take out the tough fighter for the Americans. We fight another round of combat with the Americans getting 1 casualty. The Germans are going to get 3 swings as well, looking for 5s. And they are going to get 1. We got a cocked die out there that we're going to have to re-roll. And it turns into 2. So the Germans are going to win this combat. The American forces here are going to be eliminated. And that brings us to the end of the turn, as the Germans were able to move into the building, capture the intel, and then fend off 2 squads of approaching American paratroopers. At the same time, their other squads were ordered to fall back to protect them on their way back to the deployment zone. We've got turn 5 coming up next. And the Germans are going to pull the first order die, and they are going to swing some of these guys around with an advance, and this is to prevent the Americans from getting cover. As such, the Americans here are going to elect to go down. And with everyone pretty much hitting on the same thing now, and no different pen values or anything like that, we decided to roll these all at the same time. 5 shots from the machine guns. There are some rifles and the SMG also firing. The SMG and the blue dice needs 5s. The rest of the dice need 6s. And I definitely picked up a 5 here and gave him 1 more hit than I should have. but that's okay. He needs 5s in order to cause damage, and there's 2 there. They could be exceptional, so we do roll out for those. They're not, so 2 casualties there for the U.S. The light mortar is then going to attempt to take a shot here to the back of their line, and it would need a 6 with an HE1 template. This light mortar firing, again, will need a 6. We're just going to try this out because he really hasn't had any action in this game, and he is going to land a hit. And this is HE1, so getting 2 underneath the template here, and it has a pen value of 1, so we'll be needing 4s in order to cause casualties. And he is going to get 2. This will also be D2 pen markers, which will equal 2. Next we move to the Germans that now have the intel operating as a small team. They are going to play a run order, and carrying the intel, they are making their way back to the German deployment zone. Germans pull another die here, issue a run order, getting through the wall here that's fallen, and they are just simply protecting the assets. The Germans get another activation. The sniper team goes into ambush, waiting for a target to present itself. The Americans pull the next order die. The medium machine gun team is going to fire into the infantry squad that they can see. They are longer range and behind heavy cover, so this will need 6s. And of those 5 shots, 2 are going to be good. Needing 5s in order to cause damage, they do not. That squad will go up to 3 pins. The Germans do pull the next order die, and their second lieutenant is just going to play an advance order hopping over the wall. The Americans will then pull their last die, and their team is going to move over with an advance order. They are going to catch fire from the sniper, however, as he was in ambush. He changes his order to a fire. He connects with them on a 3. And then looking for a 5 to cause damage, he gets it. Always exceptional. He takes out the second lieutenant. A morale test will be needed here, and that is going to be an 11, which is a fail, and that team is going to scoot off the board. With the U.S. second lieutenant off the board, the Germans are well positioned to take this game, and that is where we are going to call it. U.S. forces do have a medium machine gun team, the light mortar team, and 1 paratrooper squad still on the board, but they will not be able to prevent the intel from running back off the board in this turn. So a victory for this one will go over to the Germans. I hope you have enjoyed this game of bolt action. We haven't played it in a while, so I know there were a lot of mistakes in that one. I tried to go back and catch them as I was editing the footage. If you'd like to see more bolt action and games like this, be sure to let us know down in the comments below, and you can always just support us with a thumbs up. As always, a big thank you to the Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now. Would like to say thank you so much. If you'd like any more information on that, a link will be down in the description below. It's by no means necessary. If you watch the content this long, then you have done more than enough to support my channel. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.